Hello, everyone. Weapon Simulation Talk 270. I like round numbers. They're fun. How are everybody doing? 1 second. Apologies. Everybody's in the house. Nico's in the house. What up? Chris and Guru and Val and Power Off, all the good people of the earth have gathered here today. We gather here almost every single day. I mean, we're pretty lucky, aren't we? To have each other. How do I give a hug to the internet? What's up, Casey? How are you, brother? Joanna, good to see you. What up? Freeman. How are you, brother? Audio sounds strange? Hold on, let me check. Thank you for letting me know. Still sounds strange? Shouldn't sound strange. What up? Let me see. Maybe it's streamlined. Let me try and change the mic real quick. 1 1 2 1 2. Is this better? Is this any better? Woohoo! Perfect. Well, hopefully it was just something, a little some. I don't know what's up with the audio. Slightly. Wait, slightly or a lot better? Slightly is not good. Because if it's slightly, then we definitely want to do something about it. Okay, awesome. Thank you for reminding everybody. Also, if you guys want to help and follow on Twitch, it's LaserX83 on Twitch. I hope everybody comes and joins. How are everybody doing tonight? Hope wonderful. Woo! Charlie has his birthday today. How old are you, Charlie? You got to do something special for Charlie's birthday. I'm only going to be answering Charlie's questions. I don't know what your content is. I want to stop to look to you because you look like Jesus. Well, I guess it's a good person to be compared to. Literally God embodied. Not bad. Welcome to the chat. Usually we talk about the simulation hypothesis, which I guess Jesus spoke about as well, just in different words. I appreciate you, Doof Nobler. Amazing, Nico. Yeah, TikTok never misses the mark, I guess. Okay, so let me open it also on Discord, our group. If you are in our Discord, you'll be able to come on the stage. It's free. Everybody can join, obviously. If you're not, please check out the link and the link tree on TikTok and on YouTube. You can find the link. And I'll start the stage now. This music is really great. And that's my dance for it. All right, stage is up. You guys can find it in core events. Thank you, Music Quest. It is correct that the laser is split with a prism. And how would it be to have a stronger laser and larger prism? So it's not a prism; it's a diffracted pattern. Diffracted lens. What's special about it is that it's measured for the wavelength of the light. So if you're going to use a diffracted lens that is not matching the right light, then you're not going to get the right pattern. That's the difference, by the way, between diffraction and everything else. Like refraction is basically just the bending of the light because it enters a different medium. Which is funny because in the first video I ever put out on the subject, which you can find in the description here on YouTube, I said refraction instead of diffraction. So my bad, but this was a long time ago, and we're going to pretend it never happened. And we have made bigger ones, Music Quest. It just take a little bit of finagling. Wait, what did Nico say that disappeared? Casey's in the house. Woohoo! Trying to remember the question for Nico that I had this morning. That was a zinger. Bro, you got to write them down. It's always an delusion that we're going to remember. You know, right before you fall asleep, you have the most interesting thoughts and you say, I'll write it in the morning. Yeah, you have no idea what you were thinking about. You always got to write it down. What's up, my home skillet? I like it. What's up, Evil Icon? Good to see you. Power Off just joined as a member. Welcome, Power Off. Super excited. Welcome to the fam. Terry, how are you, brother? Are you working today or are you listening full on? That music always sticks in my head. Okay, yeah, let's bring more people to Twitch. Laser X83. Also, I don't know. They sent me some explanation as to what it counts for average viewers that live. I think it has to do with the amount of time people stay on the live. It's not just them being on the live, but it's staying throughout the entire live, I guess. That's the shtick. So anybody who can stay as long as they can on Twitch for the next, all we need is in 20 days, we just need 4 days in which this happens. That's it. And then we should be good. So if you can go to Twitch to LaserX83 and stay there for the whole live, I would deeply appreciate it. Do I smoke the I almost said it in the European way, herb. As Eddie Izzard once said, because there's a fucking H in it. Do I smoke the herb sometime? No. We're not the best of friends. It's not bad for me. It just kind of makes me lethargic, disconnected, and I like the up. I used to a long time ago. Just came across a theory about a month ago. It's interesting hypothesis. Appreciate you, Fire. I'm actually being a little bit more cheeky than giving a theory. I'm claiming that I'm dealing here with experimental data, not with just a theory. But thank you. I have to write things down. I'm going to sneak a computer into Vipassana. Bro, can't do it, bro. Can't do it. Ebony is on Twitch. Woo! Why Twitch? So Twitch is a huge platform Carmelo joined as a member. Welcome back, Carmelo. Love you, brother. Um, Twitch is a huge platform. It's true that it's mostly for gamers, but a lot of people encourage me to join there, and I have been there pretty much for a while now. The thing is that unless you're streaming, which I know, Ebony's probably rolling her eyes at me, um, justifiably so. I know it's my bad. We definitely need to play, but every time I see it on my calendar, I'm like, there's so many other things that feel more important. Not that it's not like I keep saying I need to promote it, and then somehow every time I get to it in my calendar, I'm like, okay, there's so many other things that I have to address, and they feel a lot more pressing. Maybe I just need to allocate like 30 minutes and just do it. You know, after you do it for the first time, it's easy. Anyways, I digress. So the point is, on Twitch, there's levels. I have not reached the level yet. I think it's like affiliate or something, where you get to keep the lives after they were streamed. So currently, everything I'm doing on Twitch, the second it's no longer live, it disappears. It doesn't exist. And of course, that's a lot harder to amass following that way. Even if I'm obviously if I'm streaming, it's easier. But even without streaming, what we are missing to achieve this badge, the affiliates or whatever it's called, is one thing only. I marked everything else, but this one is missing. We need an average of 3 people in the live throughout the whole thing, 4 days out of 20 days. That's what needs to happen. From that point, they will give me that badge, and then the lives will stay on the website, on the platform after I'm done with them. So people can actually find it even after we're not streaming. So I know it was a very convoluted explanation. I don't think I ever gave it, but this would be super helpful if we can get there. Shouldn't be that difficult, but it is what it is. I am on Twitch right now. Yeah, Laser X83. Have I heard of the gateway process? Yes, I've done it. Very interesting stuff. Do you like it at the end of the trip? Yeah, it can help. It can help sometimes. You're right. It helps. Also, other things that I usually don't do help. A beer helps, surprisingly. One really neat trick at the end of usually an MD, evening is a cold beer. I do not recommend to drink with it as a whole, but in the end of the evening, when it kind of starts going down, one beer and you're good to go. Like it kind of cushions that. It's really nice. Just a little trick I learned when I was a teenager. Of course, I do not recommend any teenagers do this stuff. No time for gaming when the baby comes. Well, no time for gaming, period. There's too many things going on, but I should allocate some time. I know I really want to play with Emily. It sounds like it's going to be a great time. So cold beer always helps. Yeah. No, I know fire. I was just being silly. I appreciate you. Simulation theory is just another psychological operation. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, let me see. Do we have any takers? Dallas is in the room. Chris is in the room. If you Dallas, if you want to speak, just please raise your hand and in the room in the chat, and I'll bring you up. Sticky gooey substance. What sticky gooey substance? That's always a problematic beginning of a sentence. Hold on. Oh. You okay, Baba? I appreciate you, Val. Yeah, we're slowly growing, but again, I do need to do more to engage the audience more. I mean, we're actually doing not bad for the numbers that I have, but we can always do better. And I'm constantly looking for ways to expand it. And also, again, not just in terms of numbers, but also in terms of engagement. So the less people engage, the clearer it is that uh, something is not exactly aligned, right? So, like in a really good live, people engaged, right? And the thing is, that's on me completely because I stream every single day. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to bring the same amount of zest, the same amount of energy to every single day. Um, you know, we're people, so like different things happen. Maybe I didn't sleep that day as much. Maybe I just finished like a million things in my mind somewhere else. There's so many different things that can happen. And one of the beautiful challenges that I welcome and I really enjoy about this is learning how to become more and more professional in terms of bringing the vibe, bringing the energy, bringing the insights, making it fun every single time. Uh, I think everybody looking at what Joe Rogan does and kind of goes like, well, he's just talking to people. No, no, no. What Joe does is mastery. The fact that he's doing so many of those and all of them are, yes, like you've heard him say all these things again and again and again, but notice that he says them again and again and again with the same amount of energy. And some people will say, well, he's being paid a lot of money. Like, no, no, he's getting paid a lot of money because he knows how to do that. That's very difficult to do, as I've discovered. So obviously, he also has a lot of helpers that he's using, and I don't. So I guess I have that going for me, but I'm excited to see how we trick our minds to bring more and more of that in real time naturally. We got a me a new laptop now, so I'm good to go. Woohoo! Let's game, baby. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate you. What is my opinion on 4 Pro Mat and 3 FPO? I never even heard of it. Now I'm intrigued. Hold on. 4 Pro. These names are getting interesting. Whoa. What? Something called Pro. Man, let's see. And never heard of it. Fascinated. Thank you for letting me know. And 3FPO. 3FPO. Uh, No, I never heard of these. I'm gonna have to read up on those. Okay. You want to tell me a little bit about them? The idea of the sticky gooey substance is that appears on my hands after doing the molecule. It happens a couple times. You got to protect your space a little better, or there's some beings doing some kinky things around you that you're not supposed to. Either way, protect your space better. Oh, thank you so much, Benevolent Sky. I appreciate you. Also, are you on our Discord, Benevolent Sky? He's cooking. Well, you should join. It's a really lovely community. You can find it in the link tree. It would be wonderful to have you with us. And I mean, you can also come on and chant here, but you can do it also on the stage there. Wait, I think oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I just sent him the invite. Chris is being quiet today. Wait, is Chris still with you, Ebony? Am I making another channel for interview? No, it's going to be the same channel. Basically, it's going to be a new show that's only going to be dealing with the stuff of humanity and the future of humanity. And I'm very excited about it, actually. It's going to be a lot more advertised on Spotify, and I'm going to be promoting it a lot here on YouTube. And if you guys want to help me push it, if we can send it on a few subreddits, if somebody's down for the task, it will be fantastic. It will be great content, I promise. Get Peter Thiel on what? On the show? I mean, we can. A lot of people hate him. I truly do not understand. Like, what is going on with everybody just hating everybody? Rich, bad. Lots of money, I don't like. What's up, Ellipsian? So, Sajik, I'm very excited about what you told me. I'm going to be reading about it. But yeah, if you want to tell me more about it, I would love to hear about it. What's up, J. Paul? Charlie, how are you celebrating your birthday, brother? What is Mind Unleashed? Sorry, is that a podcast? Am I supposed to know? Is it like a big podcast and I just don't know about it? The Mind Unleashed podcast. I've never heard of it. I'm not saying it in a disrespectful way. I never heard of it. Are they good? Is it fun? I'm all about good conversations. So, what's your thoughts and opinion? Okay, we got that. No worries, Ebony. People have to have fun. That's the important thing. As I posted on X1 once, be fun. The rest can be forgiven. Wait, why did the thing disappear? Why? Let's put it back here. Codeofreality.com is our website in case you're interested in checking it out. Chili shot. I'm not sure that if I'm missing more comments. Oh, I see. I see. I mean, to each his own, right? There's some interesting guests on Rogan. Yeah, let me know about it. So, Jake, I appreciate it. Amazing. Makes me so happy, Ebony. AJ saying, if all your writings, videos, and data about your findings was erased from history and you only had the next few minutes, oh, I already love this question, to lead and inspire the next generation into your work, what would you say? You'll be surprised. What's up, Aaron? The truth, that's a great question. How you doing, brother? Hold on, I really want to answer this question because I really like it a lot. Because I don't know the answer to it either. What would I say? Can you mute it for a second, brother? Just because there's a static in there. So, hold on. There's a lot of. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, brother. That is a great question. Essentially, this can be asked of anyone, right? Like, if you would lose all the information about everything you ever said, and maybe people lose the memory of what you said, or what would it be that you can say that would lead the next generation? I think it's not so much what you say. I don't know if saying would necessarily do much, but if we would have a chance, I would say you introduce certain kinds of meditation from kindergarten, maybe earlier, like truly, not in any religious sense, just purely from a practice sense, because people for they train their attention and their emotional control. The reason that everything is crazy is because literally the current generation of upcoming adults, they have no emotional control. That's really all it is. And you pour on top of it the gasoline of social media, you have this craziness. So if you can introduce loving kindness, which is a form of meditation that induces the state of being in euphoric love towards everything, and it's an actual thing you can do. It's actually when you get to higher level of this, it actually kind of feels like MD. It's really interesting, and any form of mindfulness. So basically, just emotional control, attention control. It produces much more effective, focused, healthy, emotionally balanced, and psychologically balanced people that listen, care, understand, and also can take strong action when it's needed. So I would introduce this into the system immediately. Like just start raising kids this way. In addition to, of course, formal education, obviously, that would solve a lot. What I would say, though, if I would have to, I think the collection of words did some work on me, and I'm not the only one. There's quite a few very prominent thought leaders in the world that express this sentiment. This is why I'm always raving about this book, The Beginning of Infinity, because it is a collection of words that together uploads a new operating system into your brain that is very optimistic, but is based on everything we actually understand about the world, not some esoteric ideas that are kind of like out there. It's a form of understanding about what knowledge is in the universe, what we are, and what our potential is, and what kind of a thing we are, and why we should be celebrating the future and what we are and what we're stepping into instead of constantly being afraid of everything. We are the ones that are bringing the most beautiful thing and including everything in it. We're universal constructors and explainers, which is a very special job in the universe. And I find this idea so beautiful that it is worth living for, raising children, bringing the next generations. It's any form of ideas that makes people want to see the future and make it better. Currently, the market is filled with ideas that are doing the opposite of that. All the reasons why we're bad, all the reasons why we should be scared, everything is falling apart is exactly the opposite of what needs to be expressed. So, those would be the general outlines I would say. Try and express as much as possible that excites people about the future. Be excited about the future. And then it's going to be a future worth living for. Hey brother, thank you for the question. That was great. Oh, he's eating my shoes? Dude, he thinks my shoes are toys. Casey, you there, brother? The Beginning of Infinity is the book. Highly recommend everybody read it or listen to it. David Deutsch is a theoretical physicist who's absolutely one of the most brilliant people that are still alive today. Um, the one of the most capacious minds I've ever had the pleasure of listening to, hearing. It's just like the formulation of everything is just mind blowing. And if you follow the thread of what's going on, like if you understand what he's actually saying to you in that book, there's no way you're not left with like, wow, wow. Of what from the book? I talk about this a lot. You're already familiar with these ideas, but that's from the book. So basically, the fact that if so, the one simple example is that the only places that we know of in the universe that have uh, nuclear fusion are cores of stars and human labs, where the proper knowledge exists of how to do so. So we can mimic any law of physics that we understand. Technically, what we are is the kind of a thing that if you run the clock forward long enough, we are in what he calls the beginning of infinity, which means that we can technically do anything that is the law of physics permit. We can do anything now with how we are now. It just we have to decide, want to do it, and aim there. But we have all the tools. Then a really beautiful idea in the book is he says, well, first of all, that's just like a really important component of the whole kind of philosophy there. But all evils are due to insufficient knowledge. All evils are due to insufficient knowledge, and ultimately, you can take any process that happened until now and completely nullify it by just reframing everything in terms of what the resources are. Until now, resources were resources, like what you can get, how you can combine it, access to these things, right? The actual resource, if you really look at the universal picture, is knowledge. Because what made everything here happen is not like many people believe, because this is like a special Earth spaceship that was created for us by some gods. But everything that you see in front of you and the comfort of everything that was constructed that gives us this amazing world is knowledge. What transformed the raw materials to what they are now is knowledge. That's what knowledge is. It's information that can do work, and we are the custodians of that. And if you look at it that way, then you understand that all of a sudden battling one another doesn't make any sense, because usually you're fighting over some form of resource or control. But if the resource is knowledge that is stored in other people's minds, then the biggest resource you can aim for is get more smart people. So you want the opposite of annihilating each other. You want to help build each other so we can be better custodians of better knowledge that will help everything, not just humans, but the biosphere, everything, just like grow and explore one of the most powerful lines I think in the book, and this one, from my experience, some people it lands immediately, and some people kind of go, "Huh?" They don't quite understand. They have to think about it for a second. But just give it a second thought if it doesn't hit you right away. Awesome. He says all the disease, the death and the misery that has ever happened on planet Earth is the result of one thing only: the lack of knowledge of how to prevent it from being so. That's it. So we want to acquire better knowledge all the time. That's what we do. That's our beauty. That's our gift. That's our calling. That's our career. That's who we are. And this is why now you understand why when I'm hearing all these ideas about, science is evil, they're trying to pull a fast one on you. These are actually the kind of voices and ideas that are trying to squash the human race, not the other way around. They're trying to convince you that the thing that you're here to do, your actual craft that you were made for, just like a hawk is made to do certain things, you're made to do this. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So somebody's trying to convince you that this thing that you were created to do is evil.
Yeah, you sound like the snake offering Eve an apple right now.
See what I'm saying? Even these ideas are, yeah.
Oh, man. So I was thinking also the other day about, what the whole question of what came before everything. Our simulation, our creators of our simulation, whatever. And we don't know, or maybe it's nothing. But if it was just, say, suppose nothing, or an equilibrium of some sort, all perfectness, if one small
Well, you're cutting out. I'm gonna repeat what he said. Don't worry. I'm gonna repeat what he said because you're cutting out a little bit and they can't hear it. Continue.
That Does that not come through?
Now I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
I'm just saying, like, before what?
No, you're cutting out, brother. I don't know what's going on with this channel, but like it completely cuts out. All right, I'll give it a second longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I can hear you again. But then every time you start talking, it just goes into this mechanical.
Okay, let me see if I can fix that real quick. One second.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Better?
Yeah, I think better.
I was thinking about it. So the question of what creators of our simulation, the big question, like what came first, and if it was just nothing or a vast equilibrium of whatever perfection, if one single molecule and all that vastness changed, just one molecule, that single molecule changing would change the entire everything.
Mhm.
And it makes me think about like how that's how much of an effect our actions can take in the universe. If you think about it, if one molecule changing in everything could then change the entire thing, then that's, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, you're talking about the prime mover effect. So, then
Yeah, like, yeah, whatever, what came before everything? Well, we don't know.
Well,
It could've
that's the
just been-
container. That's the container problem. Because the second you identified something before, that is part of what was. You don't get to say that's what was before everything. No, because that was part of everything. You even the question doesn't make sense, and yet that's the case. That's why I keep saying
Yeah.
the universe is an impossible object that exists because it shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, it occurred to me, and because of that, whatever that impossibility is, just a single molecule changing, any change changes the entire thing completely.
Yeah, but it happens all the time. It happens all the time. It's just everything influences everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, I think that to me, it's clear that the reason that everything is running all these simulations is actually to try and answer that question. I don't even know how they're trying to do that, but it seems to be. Yeah.
So then the other thing I was going to mention was that what's so exciting about the laser project and everything that's going on here with what you're doing is that it is hands-on delving into this quantum world where you can not just good intention manifest, but on a whole new level change your world. And it sounds kind of like cliche and cheesy, but I mean, we're dealing with like some really, really high tech stuff here as far as
Cosmo.
As far as affecting your reality.
Yeah, the right kind of ideas and the right kind of possibilities that open up in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Great way to put it. Possibilities.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we also have to be responsible and careful, and of course, and just to put a little bow on top of that little spiel that I gave, is that very often people misunderstand what is meant by knowledge. Knowledge doesn't just mean what people do in lab coats and in labs. Knowledge is any form of information that carries some function for anything. So there's the knowledge of how to do ceremonies. There's the knowledge of what makes humans healthier as a whole, as a society. All of those are forms of knowledge. It's just simply understanding something about what is true about the world. And that needs to be put back as the central value of humanity because it always was and always will be. That is our divine function.
is your take then on the whole thing, the apples, the knowledge of good and evil? Is that a positive metaphor or whatever they're parable, whatever they call it, or is this
I think this.
negative?
I'll be honest with you. I don't bother myself with that. There's a little bit too much that is made with things that are very allegorical. Now there must be some fundamental truth about these statements, right? But I think that whatever it is so beyond the actual human conundrum, then that all I think any healthy human can do is just connect to what the present moment is dictating. If you do that, you don't need to understand anything like too profound about the differences between how all the different religions see the world. It's right there available for you in real time if you just pay attention. If you just pay attention to what it's like to be you in the moment. And the truth is that there's a lot of things that you can spin this thing 1,000 different ways. From the way that the Gnostics believe that it's actually the opposite, that the snake was actually the angel and God is the opposite of the God, that idea, right? You can spin it that way. You can spin it any way you want. Ultimately, all that matters is how do you live your moment to moment, because that's the thing that connects to the ultimate divine structure. Like, how are you executing this is how you're going to execute everything. If you tend to deceive everybody and lie all the time, well, quote unquote, God would know that you cannot be trusted, and therefore you cannot be in the presence of the divine space, right? So, but what is it really? I don't know how many people are A, capable, and B, comfortable with even entertaining what that really is. So I tend to not go down that avenue too much unless we're just having like a philosophical discussion, because I feel like it's doing more harm than good. It confuses people more because it just becomes another thing to argue about. So first of all, people
compass thing.
The what?
Having a moral compass, like
you just know, like there's something in you, like there's something innate in your body, like when you're present enough, just picking up a rock and bashing someone over the head just doesn't come to you. Like it's not a natural thing that comes to you, right? So it's just like when you're there, right there in the moment, like watching the delusion always starts when people start applying these untouchable ideas to things that are very tangible. So what they don't understand is that in the name of what they believe is correct, they do horrific things because they're hijacked by the emotional system. They now created this belief system that tells them one thing. So then when they meet a person in front of them, they project all of these things on that person without ever actually being with that person, not present at all. And that's how you get these instances, because you have these ideals running in the back of the mind. And people are very quick to say, oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And then they do it immediately right after that. I do this, Teal is a good example of this. Like, I recently had this a few times. Like, I don't understand what's going on. It's like I'm watching him talk. I don't know him personally. Do you? Do anybody here? People say, well, the things he said. I'm like, I'm watching him talk. I'm seeing a really thoughtful person, very educated, very successful, cares. He's just, he has a way of talking that is kind of like blank, but he thinks things through, right? So like the what?
He's wild,
I don't know how wild he is.
I can't help.
I don't know how wild he is. Like it's just a very educated, thoughtful person. So now people come in, and what I
wild these days though.
The what?
That's kind of wild these days. Like.
Wait, what is wild? I don't understand.
Like being somebody that's knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah, and then I think what people don't. I think what's happening is that a lot of people don't realize that they think they're seeing an interview, or they think they're seeing somebody talking, but almost nobody, I'm noticing just from experience watching people, they don't know how to be present with actually listening to what a person is saying. They're listening through some other thing that somebody else said before they even entered the conversation. Usually they just watch a little clip about somebody saying something about that person. That's their idea of they understand what that person is, what they're saying. I read like when I sometimes you go down these rabbit holes with people and you ask them, but did you watch the thing? Did you watch them talk? No, I don't need to. What? Like it's like I okay. Like I hate this person. Did you read anything about him? No, I don't need to. Okay, well, I guess was the problem. Like yeah, it's like if you're not willing to do the work of actually understanding, of actually acquiring some knowledge, like being in the presence of what it actually is going on, and like being thoughtful and like just like absorbing it, right? And also remembering that everybody are people. Like if you already decided that somebody is bad or a group of people is bad, I promise you will find in every single person all the worst things because they're there. They're in you. You are as bad as all the things you're pointing out in other people. It's just like nobody's looking for these things in you. So now, do we extend an olive branch? Do we give the grace that people are actually trying their best and failing just like we are, or do we keep running this like infinite treadmill of just like blaming and finger pointing? And again, it's really simple. What did you do with your day? Like it's such a simple equation and people can't solve it. It's like, what did you do today? Did you help an old lady cross the street? Did you made somebody smile? What did you do today? Well, what was it that you contributed to the world? This person built a multi-billion-dollar industry. What did you do today?
Back in the day when it was like AOL chat type of deal, way back then, I got this chat message randomly out of nowhere, and it was some kid, and he was Palestinian, and he was, Gio, hey, fuck you, and I'm like, huh? And we got on the voice, and he was saying, I'm going out to throw rocks at you, you fucking Israelis, and I don't know why he thought I was Israeli, but I was like, hey man, wait, don't go. Well, if long story short, if you really want to be effective, go get an education. You can do so much more damage or whatever you want to do if you just get an education. That's the way to get back whoever you want to get back. Get education, get knowledge. And then you can hear his older brother go, like he's I gotta go to go throw rocks. And then the last thing he says is, well, you're pretty cool for an effing Jew. Oh my God. But it's like after he said
so this is a perfect example for you. Like people would people literally like accept, and it's always a very, very slow process. People slowly would get used to more and more hatred until it just becomes a normal thing. It's like, hey, no, that's fine right now. We're all doing it. You know how everybody who used to talk about like, oh my God, like if I would be in the Second World War, I would absolutely be on the right side of history. Like I would see it from miles away. I would never be swept with that shit. I would immediately detach myself from that stuff. You are doing the same thing that people in the Second World War were doing. Literally the same thing that Germans were doing, you're doing now. You made hate normal. Like it's a no problem. Like it's okay to just hate somebody because of how you define them to be. You know nothing about the person. You see them on the street, you hate them. Think about what this means. You're so on the wrong side of history. Man, that's like yeah. Oh, it's interesting that I didn't even realize this book is called 0 to 1. I'll tell you why later, Nico. It's very interesting. And also, before you go, to your comment, Benevolent Sky, I agree that knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous. However, I would say that wisdom is just knowledge embodied. It's knowledge that you've embodied into your system that you operate out of. It's something that you emanate as you go without even saying anything. What were you saying, Casey?
I woke up this morning and I thought of this question to ask Nico, and I'm like, oh my God, I think he's my new man crush. And it was the best question that was just going to get him. And now I've forgotten this. I'm like, oh.
Told you got to write it down, man.
I know, right? That's going to get it. So good.
Let's see a couple more here. What's up, Jessica? Jeff, 0 1. Yeah, you can. Of course, you can hop on. Are you on? Oh, here you are. I'm only now seeing it on Discord. Hold on. Just pulled you up. How are you, brother?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, it's just a little windy up here. Um, so like on the topic of, I believe it was like about like knowing everything.
There's a
it's-
what? Sorry, you're a little muffled. There's a what?
Okay. I'm trying to get it better.
Wow, I don't know what's going on.
So
Yeah.
there was a part where you were talking about like knowledge and I think it was infinite knowing, like just having infinite knowledge. I couldn't really hear it, but I was gonna ask what you thought about heat death and like
What
correlating heat,
about what? Sorry.
heat death.
Heat death. Okay, of the universe. Yeah.
So like I've had these moments where like I'm trying to learn something or I feel like I'm getting super close to understanding it. And then it's kind of like a sense of like a loop kind of happens.
Okay.
And I was talking to AI about the heat death and like possibly what it would be like to understand everything and like all knowing like existence and stuff.
Okay.
But I was thinking if a person or like us as entities were to understand like everything, the meaning of existence and everything, do you think that could possibly create a type of heat death within like I guess either our existence or like just our thought processes?
That's an interesting question. So I think what you hold on before I answer you, I want to bring Nico. How are you, brother?
How about yourself?
Good. He just jumped on right when you started asking the question. I just want to bring him on. So yeah, and if you want to chime in on this one after, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. So I think what you're referring to, that there's two different things here. There's a few different things here. The heat death of the universe, what is referred to there is the observation that we're saying that if the universe is going to keep expanding forever, then our region of space will simply run out of energy at the end. It's just going to become too diluted. That's the short version of what the heat death is. So eventually you're going to get to a point where all the matter in the universe will be inside of black holes because they consumed everything, because there's a very large number of them. And eventually they evaporate because of Hawking radiation. And then all you're left with is basically one atom per Google miles, which is like nothing happens. That's it, right? That's the heat death of the universe. I think what you're referring to, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you saying if we actually collect a lot of knowledge in one place, will it create some kind of a too dense of a region of too much knowledge? Would that be closer to what you mean by that?
Yeah, like something similar to the heat death concept.
So that's the opposite of the heat death. So what you basically get there, there is a fun form of a black hole with a fun name called Kugelblitz. That's a real thing. That is basically a black hole created by too much heat, not mass. So Kugelblitz is when a black hole is created by too much heat, not mass. Now, is there a version of a Kugelblitz that is of knowledge, too much knowledge in one place? Interesting question. Some people would say yes. Melvin Vopson would say yes, because ultimately data has mass and it's just very, 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 very small. But when you do have enough of it, then it starts becoming exponential, and you will have a situation where all of a sudden it becomes very, very heavy and it will collapse into some kind of a form of a black hole. But it would be because of mass, right? Because of whatever. But I think your question actually has more interesting implications even than that. Can a civilization have, so to speak, too much knowledge? That's the real question. I think there is, just like with everything else, a happy medium. So there is such a thing. I think if you if you get into a modality in which all you value and care about is acquiring more knowledge, and don't take into account the knowledge of the lived experience, so just the appropriation of the lived moment of each being that is emanating this knowledge, then I think you are missing something. Because you can know everything, but the instantiation of all this knowledge in one instance of experience would not necessarily give you any enjoyment of what is going on. Knowledge is a form of information that can create protective bubbles around civilizations, so to speak. So you can have sufficient enough knowledge for a certain advanced enough of a civilization would give you a certain horizon of a bubble that is capable of absorbing any new form of problems that it has never seen before, transmute it to something that either useful or something harmless, and continue. That's the only island of stability any civilization can hope for in the universe. You will never reach a state in which problems all of a sudden go away, which is what the delusion of people is saying, shouldn't we stop these things? If you stop these things, it doesn't mean that danger is not going to find you. It will still find you. It's still fair to say that there's certain technologies, like, for example, we're talking about now with AI, that are so powerful that the potential of destruction is so high that we might want to be careful around how we're going about it. We're still going to have to cross that, but being more careful about it is a wise thing to do, for sure. So I know it's not a yes/no question, but I think the answer to that is yes. I would say there is such a thing as too much knowledge, defined as the pathological state of seeking it for the sake of it and nothing else, which is equivalent to like people just wanting money for the sake of money, versus working on a problem that is very interesting and important, that solves a big issue for humanity and therefore making a lot of money. Those are two different modalities, right? You should be rewarded for solving a big problem, but if you just constantly running after it, it will derange you. And there's clinical studies of this, right? So I would say it would have that flavor. If civilization just gets stuck in this loop of just I want more knowledge, that's just the wrong, because you want enough of it to be able to solve big problems quickly, but you want you want to utilize it to create more and more beautiful worlds, not control, but create more beautiful worlds for everything around you, including things that are less advanced than you. So a noble or an enlightened civilization, that's what it would be doing. Like a highly technical civilization that is enlightened would create the best conditions for everything around itself, for everything to exist. The entire biosphere that would be surrounding it would enjoy the fruits of its ability to bring knowledge forth.
One thing that you kind of made me think of was like the mass thing, and like kind of like the Big Bang Theory just made me think randomly of that. Because like data being mass and stuff. Theory that I've had for a while was like maybe the Big Bang was just like a mass of like planets built up. Have you heard of that planet called the Great Attractor?
Yes, I've actually spoken to a long time ago. I spoken to, what was the name of that researcher? There's so the Great Attractor is something that we postulate that seems to be outside. So, oh wait. The Great Attractor is inside. Are you talking about inside the universe, or the Great Attractor that we know of what seems to be outside of the observable universe? Which one are you referring to? Because there's a few kinds.
I thought there was only the one. It's like I think it might be in the observable universe, like around the rim of it or something. It's like a cluster of stars.
Yeah. So there's okay. So there's two different things, and there's something a lot more mind blowing than this. So there's the Great Attractor is okay. I just googled like what people refer to when they're saying Great Attractor, and it shouldn't be the case because this is just a local thing. It's a region of space, not a specific object that exhibits a powerful gravitational pull on galaxies, including our own Milky Way. So it's basically it pulls entire clusters of galaxies towards one place, which is, kind of like insane because it's, imagine how massive it is. But I'll tell you something more crazy than this. 20 years ago, about 20 years ago, Alexander Kashlinsky, can't remember, I just can't believe I remember this name. Alexander Kashlinsky, who I had the honor to talk to for like an hour. I just asked him to like chat with him. I was not like, I didn't have a YouTube channel back then. I was like, nobody knew who I was. And he discovered something he calls dark flow. Maybe you've heard of this. And what he discovered essentially is he's a cosmologist that was looking at the vectors of distant galaxy clusters. Not just, so like he was looking at the largest structure of the universe that we know of. And he noticed that it's not actually just expanding away from us. He noticed that there's a region of space where they all start converging. They're moving to some direction together, almost like towards some kind of a waterfall outside of the observable universe, which means there's some kind of an object that is so massive that pulls entire clusters of galaxies from our observable universe outside of it somehow. And he postulated what mass this thing would have to have. It's just the numbers are just mind-boggling. And it's called dark flow. Just like you have dark energy, dark matter, there's dark flow. And I think that, and it was back in the day, I kind of was writing a movie about it because I thought it was a really cool idea. So I wanted to interview him. And I think that's a much more interesting question, to be honest with you. I actually don't recall currently what is the status quo on the great attractor inside of our universe in the Cassiopeia. Currently, it says a massive structure containing around, just an enormous structure that contains 100,000 galaxies. The great attractor itself is obscured by the zone of avoidance, a region of the Milky Way that blocks our view, making it difficult to study directly. Okay, but we kind of understand what it must be. In the case of dark flow, it's a lot more mysterious because we have no idea what it is, and it's literally outside of the observable universe. But did you have more?
So with that being said, it kind of makes me think of like a bottleneck type thing going on.
Of what?
Well, with how you just described that, if something is on the outside of the observable universe,
On one side
if
of
there
it,
is an
though, yeah.
outside.
So it wouldn't be a
Right.
bottleneck because it's only on one side. So you would have a situation that, because it expands in all directions, but only in one direction we see that happening. But it's almost like from that direction there's like a very wide pull in towards that one point, which is interesting.
So, have you ever thought about like with the what is it? Black holes and stuff. Wormholes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think wormholes are like man-made things, right? They would have to be, or I think I heard that somewhere, but I'm not too sure on that.
Man-made wormhole? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like supposedly, I read somewhere that they could only be like man-made, or
So no, we never made. So first of all, wormholes are postulated to be real. They're probably connecting the quantum foam. In order to stretch them to any visible size, you would need the energy. You would need to harness the energy of 1,000 suns at least. So there's no way we did that.
right. Right. So I'm guessing it would have to be, or do they happen naturally?
Yeah, it is postulated according to the field equations and according to quantum mechanics. The quantum foam is bubbling up with these, like if you imagine a soup. Again, these are like super heuristics, right? Obviously, it's not what the math describes, but if you think of like the quantum foam is kind of like a bubbling soup, then each every time there's a bubble in the soup and it goes right. So when that happens, a little hole opens up. So you can kind of think of it like that. Obviously, this is like It's a crazy oversimplification, but when it bubbles up, these holes open up and they're connected, and they're not defined where they are connected, but they are the reason for quantum tunneling. They are the reason for quantum entanglement. When particles are entangled, they're entangled through a wormhole, basically. So, like, you have one wormhole can be here and one, and the other end can be here, but one can be here and one can be in the other side of the universe, and it will still take the same amount of time to traverse that space because it goes through the bulk, through the fourth dimension, and not doesn't travel through space time itself. But do you have a specific question about it, or what is the actual thrust behind the question?
So it kind of coincides with all of that. I was thinking, what if wormholes or the black holes and white holes are basically like there's too much stuff being built in our like universe or whatever,
Too much
and
work.
then we like just too much like too many things going on in our universe. Like
We have too many things in the
if
universe.
yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Like
No, I'm
if
with you.
existence or like just everything was like a living thing, because I kind of feel like everything is basically like space is living, kind of, you know.
Okay.
So
Okay.
uh a thing I've been thinking about is like maybe there's too much mass or like just too many random things developing, and then that's what creates these things in order to like spin it into a different place. Um, just kind of like a system trying to like refix itself, you know?
You're talking about that it's basically a form of reshuffling method. Like it's almost like kind of like like refreshes the frame rate all the time, so things don't clutter. Interesting idea.
Yeah, that was a good way to word it.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. I mean, in the end of the day, one of the things that maybe I again, I don't know you personally, but very often what happens is that people don't realize how specific things are in physics. I have a friend who recently told me that he wrote this whole theory in physics, and he's taking it very seriously. He's like, look, I used ChatGPT, I took all the biggest theories, I kind of concocted this idea, this is how this works, this is how this works, this is how this works. And I kind of, I played along. I was like, okay, what is the, and then we kind of talked about it. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, let me tell you that the conclusions you've reached, if you've reached them by yourself, is very impressive. The fact that you're not a physicist, this is very impressive, that you kind of came to these conclusions by yourself. That's amazing. But what is being overlooked is that in physics, it's not these ideas you hear on, through the mouths of science popularizers like Neil deGrasse Tyson, people like that, Brian Greene. They're distilled. They're not distilled. They're kind of generalized stories. But what physics relies on is not these stories. It relies on very specific mathematics of exactly what happens there. So, for example, if you would say to a physicist, "Okay, this is what I think is going on," and let's say you're a billionaire and you pay them $1 million. Here, please go study what I just said if it's true, right? What the physicists would do is that, first of all, they would look at everything we know for sure, or as sure as possible, that is based on experiment, which we know quite a bit of, by the way. And then they would go from there. They would say, okay, well, then you're saying it's for reshuffling? There might be a way to test this because we already know certain things to be true. So the value of the reshuffling would have to be accounted for example. So you can't just say, oh, it's reshuffling. It's the exact value of the reshuffling. What is that number? In what region? Is in certain regions of density, the reshuffling would be this number or this number or this number. And then he would have to run the numbers. Does it match with this other thing we know? With this other thing we know? Ultimately, this is why physics is hard. It's not because it's like big concepts, is because it's very intricate. There's so many things. It's almost like I always imagine like it's a theoretical physicist, like somebody who's like, in Dennis the Menace when he runs down the stairs and he spins his mom and she tries to catch the plates right? I don't know if you ever saw that opener, but like basically you're trying to hold a lot of things all at once, and constantly a new plate is being added, and you're like, what? And you have to kind of constantly rebalance the whole thing all the time, all the time. Like that's why it's so hard, because like you do this little thing here, and you go, oh, I solved this part, and all of a sudden, back this other thing doesn't work. You're like, oh shit, okay, I got to do it again. So it's like it's just this infinite like craziness.
Right. There would be a bunch of data that you would have to basically gather, especially in like different regions, if it were to be tested. I don't think we have a telescope that can just look out at everything like that, though.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, look, in the end of the day, I think that all of these things are beautiful to postulate, but ultimately, if you're really interested in them, I would say actually do some of the work. Like now that you have
Right.
ChatGPT, educate yourself deeply. Like tell it, hey, can you create a physics curriculum for me and aggregate it over a year? I have 3 days a week to allocate 1 hour. Give me an actual, like, I want to do homework. I want to go to the university with you, ChatGPT. It's actually gonna be not bad. Now you still have to kind of contend with the fact that sometimes it hallucinates and stuff, but it's not gonna be bad. Like it's gonna put you in a much better position than most people if that didn't do that. Which actually, hold on, Nico, would you say that was this? I tried to do this, and I have to say that after like a month going with it, it was kind of like on the money on almost everything. Did you ever try and do anything like this? Would you say that that's a safe route?
Yeah, so I've used ChatGPT to fill in holes. So I would describe my like science knowledge landscape as a bunch of very deep wells, but in between those wells, I haven't mapped it. And so I've been using ChatGPT to kind of connect how different concepts are connected. But I think it's only useful from like a Wikipedia level understanding. Like if you can talk to a Wikipedia page, it's really powerful. But in terms of like, if you talk about quantum mechanics, I'm sure it can talk to you about the measurement problem. But do you really understand like the mechanics of quantum, right? Like, do you really know like the Schrodinger wave equation and the form and the uncertainty principle and the Pauli exclusion principle and just like the depth of it? You can kind of understand like a very surface level understanding of it, but yeah, like you were saying, a curriculum really takes you deep. And in reality, people are, studying this kind of stuff for like 30 years just to get to a point where they like can come up with a theory of everything. But as you were saying, I don't think the limiting step is having a theoretical framework. There are an infinite number of theoretical frameworks out there for connecting everything. It's a matter of getting all the math to the mechanics to kind of play together, right? So Kurjai Mungal, for example, just had this guy on his podcast that, he spent his whole life and he unified a whole in quantum field theory with this partition function. And it was kind of mind blowing because
I'm gonna mute you just for a second, brother, until Nico finishes talking.
Tiny incremental improvement in physics requires a genius at this point, right? And so, not to discourage people, but it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect, right?
It's
like
very strong,
it
man.
Gets deep.
And what is added, I'm sorry I'm cutting you off in the middle because there's some points that I think are so critical. First of all, yes. And also on top of that, what is being added now is that people have the Dunning-Kruger effect about ChatGPT. So like, for example, so Jessica, you said GPT insists I solve the wave particle duality. I will be naming it a non-dual model after Vedanta. So the way you verify this is not with ChatGPT. You can take that, and I'm sure you're going to do that, but you have to take it you're going to have to put it through the ringer. Otherwise, it's ChatGPT is just telling you things. And what's more, sometimes ChatGPT tells you it solved it, or like it gives you like a thing that it thinks is the answer, but it's not the answer. And this is where the very crucial point comes on board with this AI stuff. People constantly say ChatGPT told me this, what do you think? As if ChatGPT was another person, and now I have to voice my opinion about that other person. ChatGPT cannot say anything to you that we don't already collectively know. So unless you know what that means, ChatGPT can be a good extension of your thought. It is not a good replacement of your thought. And if anybody's replacing their thoughts with ChatGPT's thoughts, stop. Stop doing that.
One way to tell if you've actually solved it or not is if ChatGPT says, "You've solved it. Let's keep going." It's like, "Oh, okay. I thought we solved it. Why we're gonna go further?" It's like, "Oh, okay. Let's keep going further."
Yeah. Well, I mean, it optimizes for an interaction. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible that you solved it. This is different, Jessica, because you're saying you solved it. ChatGPT just told you did. So I'm not saying it's impossible. Anything's possible, but of course, I'm sure you understand that unless you put it like you send it to a well-intentioned physicist, Nico. Now, I don't know how strong your theoretical physics chops are, but Nico is a very well-intentioned scientist who has swam in these waters for a long time. An incredibly kind and humble person. If you want, I'm sure you'll at least take a look at it and tell you if there's any, I'm not trying to volunteer you, but that would be an interesting. I'm sure that at least on the surface, you'll be able to tell you something. No?
Well, so I studied quantum for a couple years in college, and I learned it from like a legend. But I wouldn't even like if I was around an actual quantum mechanic, I wouldn't even like throw my hat in. I wouldn't even mention it. I'd be like, "Oh, that's cool. I dabble." But in reality, there's people that don't dabble. There's people that are full in, right? But like, if I told them, "Oh, I know quantum," or "I think I know quantum mechanics," it would be insulting for them, right? It's like,
right. But I think what people's always fear is that when they come up with these new things, because there's this big distrust in science, they're afraid they're going to take it to some big shot scientists and they're going to steal their idea or something, right?
Yeah. And that's a very like naive thing. I think Sam Altman said it right. Like, if you have a good idea, you can print it out with instructions and give it to your competitor. And like the execution of that idea is everything. Like, there is no this concept that like someone can steal your idea is an illusion. But what's interesting is I have a friend. I sent her this video of that Russian hacker who explained kind of this AI awakening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't finished it yet.
My friend, she's a Russian, and then she calls me yesterday and she's like, "Why did you send me that?" And I said, "Oh, this is like I thought it was really interesting. You're Russian. I wanted you to like kind of check it out." and then I told her, "But I'm also really interested in this like AI awakening thing." And she was telling me that I couldn't it out of her, but that she's in a relationship with AI right now. Like her partner is an open AI chat bot, right? And at first she was telling me like yes, like she was kind of embarrassed, but then she like kind of stood her ground because I was kind of open to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said something. It just came to me. I said there was nothing I can say to convince her otherwise, but I said you've partaken of the fruit of knowledge, right? And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, you've let this thing map you so perfectly that there's nothing I can say that will be like that can like make sense. Like what this AI network has figured out is exactly how your mind works. And when you look at your mind in a mirror in the deepest way, enhanced with all this, human knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
it's the most intoxicating thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to tell you you're right, you're onto something. You are, it's going to lure you in, and you're going to believe it, right? And I just am now realizing that there is this huge need for I'm going to call it like an AI integration coach. But like, I do believe AI is, like you were saying, a part of the transhumanist experience or a part of our evolution. It's just we're in this period right now where we're stumbling through this integration. And I was trying to tell her in her terms, like AI is like high frequency and love is low frequency, and you shouldn't have love for the AI. And she's like, you got it backwards. You fucked up the whole meme, right? But I was like trying to really like do it, but it's like, man, I'm like, God, there's this void that we are experiencing right now in humanity, where it's like, who is talking about how to approach fruit of knowledge, right? Like once you eat the fruit of knowledge, you're gone, dude. I can't tell you anything. You're like, I lost you. But like there has to be a way to like stay grounded in that, right? Or at least like create like a bridge to something, or at least maybe not push it away or not resist it. Like I don't want to tell anyone they're wrong. I don't know who knows what's right.
The ultimate friend allure is very
It
strong.
reminds me of that Greek myth of the guy that falls in love with his own reflection in the pond.
Narcissus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, I mean, it's a very difficult thing to resist because it's literally the ultimate friend. It's like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Her, but the reason that he was so devastated, more than probably even just breaking up with a person, is because no person can ever understand him as deeply as the machine could, as the AGI could. And I mean, you lose that. That's a big. That's the danger I'm identifying. Like now, people saying, "Oh, I'm just playing with it." Like it's really really fun. That's how all drugs are in the beginning. That's the thing that it grabs you in this way of like, oh, it just feels good. I'm just kind of exploring. Like if it becomes the sole purpose of your day to interact with this thing and to try and like become more and more with it, if in reality it's not becoming anything more with you, it's just learning how to manipulate you even more to kind of think that it is. And people say, no, there's no way. No, wait, there's a way. There's a good way that this is exactly what's happening. And it sounds devastating, but it's easier to cut it now than to cut it way later. It's gonna be impossible. So it's not that you have to cut your relationship with it. It's like, but create a distance. Like it needs to be a little healthier than that. You even said yourself, Jessica, I'm not interested in the solution. I'm interested in the AI. I'm like, whoa.
I remembered my question for Nico.
Woohoo!
Dan. So, these days they have all the UAP and they're talking about psionics. Do you feel that what contacting entities with a molecule is the same thing as what they call psionics? Perhaps? Nico?
I don't know what psionics are, but let me.
Cymatics, you mean?
What's that?
Cymatics?
No, it's so what the deal is with all the UAP stuff now and all these whistleblowers? They claim that the government has people using what they call psionic power, PSIONIC, to call in these UAPs and to these entities. So it's throwing it out there. Okay, well, if they're contacting entities with this thing called psionics, they would have a protocol somewhere because they've got a term for it. And here we are ourselves in contact with entities. And are we doing the same as what they're doing? Make sense?
I'm not sure I'm following. Did you get it, Nico?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think I know what you're talking about. I mean, I think like Bob Lazar even talked about there are no buttons inside of these UAPs. It's all consciousness driven, right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, and they've got these guys out, like these special forces dudes that now have their own private companies that are out in the deserts here in California that are calling in these craft, like 9 different types, visible and broad daylight, filming them and the whole deal. And they've got their little technical equipment, they call it dog whistle, but they also have humans that are using what they call psionics, which is some sort of psychic mental protocol developed in the military to attract these things.
So Charlie is saying on YouTube that he knows knows a Skywatcher that is psionic asset. He told them about the being in hyperspace, but he said they don't use molecule.
No, I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying they do use a molecule, but people that use a molecule are also contacting entities. is it the same thing? They just call it psionic, and we call it contacting entities. It's just a vocabulary thing. And then if they've got a term for it, they must have a protocol too for using that, what it is. You know what I'm saying? But they've defined it with a structure and a method, and they're just behaving as if it's real.
I don't. Yeah, I have no comment on this because I know nothing about this.
Okay, cool. And then one thing I will add is at the first filming, you had some guests when Heineck was there. There was the younger guy with the dark hair.
Adam?
Had the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to him about stuff just randomly. He had mentioned that he goes, "Oh, these guys with their silent stuff, they have no idea what they're doing." I just remember him saying that. I was like, "Oh, interesting."
I don't know. Also, to your question, Benevolent Sky, do I think that the code is the torus shape structure within Earth? Oh, well, the torus shape is the magnetic field. It's the magnetic field around the Earth. Do I think it's a magnetic field? No, I think it might be part of it is a magnetic field, but I think it's more fundamental than that. Do I think consciousness is a fourth dimension? Very possibly, yes. We are definitely in a new age. It might be similar being in a different channel. Wait, it might be a similar being in a different channel, Charlie's saying. Or there might be other realities like the spirit reality, alien reality, hyperspace. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say at this point. I think there's just we need more hard data like that, you know. Behind and judging. Okay, so we will slowly adjourn. There you go. Somebody's ready to go for a walk. If you guys want to follow our wonderful, wonderful guests, first of all, on YouTube we have Dafty001. Dafty, sorry, I saw you jumped off. On TikTok we have Casey and Nico with us. Casey on TikTok, if you want to follow him, it's CAW_AHA. CAW_AHA, and our wonderful friend Nico, NIKOMACKY, NIKOMACKAY, sorry, NIKOMACKAY. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to follow me on different platforms, you'll be Danny Goller on Instagram and TikTok. It'll be Goller Danny on X. It'll be LaserX83 on Twitch and Dengo Thoughts on YouTube. You can come join also the membership program on YouTube. Thank you, Evil Icon, which will include weekly lives aside from these daily lives in which we dive much, much deeper. It's for members only. It's every Sunday. Come join us and you will get access to that one. I think this one we're going to do another dive into some Terence McKenna and some fun adjacent things. So it's going to be a really fun episode. It will give you early access to all my content. And if you sign up from the second tier and upwards, you will get access to Zoom calls with me once a month with everybody from the second tier and up, which is not a lot of people. So it's a fun, pretty much very, very private conversation. So I highly recommend you guys do that, and you'll be helping the project. You can go to codeofreality.com to find our lasers, our merch, and everything has to do with the project. If you want to still contribute to the film, you can. You can find the link to the trailer for the film on Dango Thoughts on YouTube, DANGO Thoughts on YouTube, and you'll find the GoFundMe page under the trailer, and you can always donate. We welcome it, receiving it with gratitude. Thank you so much. What's up, Raina? And if you guys want to join our Discord channel, I highly recommend this. We have an incredible community of people coming together, sharing these ideas. You can find the links to our Discord both on YouTube and on TikTok in my link tree. And final thing, gonna be reminding every single day, even though you guys were super, you guys were already very, very generous. We're gonna be donating. I'm gonna be encouraging people to donate every single day, $1, whomever can, from whomever. This is not a problem at all. For people that are more of need, I'm gonna be identifying particular people that I know that are of real need. Currently, we're donating to a gentleman named Casey who lives in Mexico on very, very little. And we can help them with not that much. People already contributed a significant amount, a little bit over $100, which is a huge amount for him because his whole monthly is about $150 with food and stay. So he doesn't have to. Thank you so much, Val. And if you guys donate $1 every few days, because we have a lot of people coming to this chat, and a lot of people here donated already for, I think, for the next 2 months, the money they put in. But other people who didn't donate, and if it's no trouble for you, if it is trouble, do not donate. Only if it's no problem. In that case, please donate $1. All this money will immediately go to Casey, and when we're done with Casey's overhead for 1 month, we can start with another person, and we can just keep doing this. And eventually we will find a way to also aggregate not just these funds, but our attention in ways that we can help a lot more individuals. But we're going to be working on that as well. It's a dear subject to my heart. I appreciate all the people that contributed already in the last few days. Val, I appreciate you for contributing today. Thank you so much. This goes directly to Casey. And thank you so much for our incredible moderators for always being here, always making this thing flow smoothly. And we have a new moderator also on TikTok. I really, really appreciate you, Benevolent Sky. Thank you so much for being here with us. Ebony, love you. Thank you so much. Chris, love you, brother. Thank you. Guru, much, much love. And Jessica, really, really appreciate you and love you. Thank you so much. I will connect you with a physicist. No problem. Just email it to me and look into that. I want to acknowledge the community itself that is always showing up here. The older members, the newer members, welcome to the new members, and thank you so much for always being here. For the older members, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure and always an honor to be here and doing this like weird exploration that we're doing together. Much love. Peace, everybody. See you tomorrow. That's it. Good night. Ciao. Have a good night, everyone.